this meeting. Please use the chat feature to post questions. We will be answering these questions during the Q&A portion of the meeting. If we don't get to your question, or if you think of something later on, please send an email and we will get back to you ASAP. Thank you. Welcome back to BDMS. We have been preparing for a safe return to learning. A key part of our return to school plan includes increased communication. Part of our communication plan is an updated website. Mrs. Perk will be unveiling the site and giving you the tour in just a few minutes. Before she starts sharing the new site, I would like to point out a few important points from our Stage 1 reopening plan. All of our work is paying off, and our new educational reality is starting to sink in. Please know we are following all of the required guidelines. Stage 1 is very restrictive, but it gets us back in school. Now for some of the key points of our new school policies for Stage 1. Face masks. Students and staff pre-K through 8 are required to wear masks while inside the school. We have also moved classes and desks to allow for appropriate social distancing. Periodic mask breaks will be given with appropriate social distancing in place at the discretion of the classroom teacher. Our temperature screening plans. Staff and students are required to be scanned daily. Additionally, staff are required to complete an online daily health screen form. Grade 5 parents should not leave their cars when they drop off to screen students. Students entering through the front door will be screened by facial recognition. Pre-K through grade 1 will drive around back to be scanned and come in the kindergarten door. We continue to wait for updated busing information. Please stay in contact with your district for specific transportation information. Students riding the bus will be screened at the breezeway door. Persons, staff, and students who have fevers 100 degrees Fahrenheit or above are exhibiting other signs of the illness will not be allowed into the school. Once screened, children will go straight to their assigned rooms. Our school supplies, little different than in the past. Items and supplies will not be allowed to be shared at all. This includes electronic devices, clothing, toys, books, games, or any learning resources. We will be keeping the students' personal items in individually labeled containers, cubbies, or desks. During phase 1, sad to report, we will not be allowed to use lockers. Cohorts. Students and teachers will be divided into small cohorts to limit exposure. Students will stay in classrooms, and teachers, including special teachers, will move only within their cohort. Pre-K through first is a cohort and will enter and exit through the kindergarten door. Second through fourth is a cohort and will enter through the main door. 5th through 8 is a cohort and they will enter through the middle school wing. Our visitor policy. This is a tough one. Visitors, including parents, guardians, will not be permitted to enter the building during operating hours. A table will be left outside the front door for drop-offs, such as lunch or forgotten supplies. We have a few, very minimal, student teachers working in the building who will be required to fill out all the forms and do the screening, but we will not have any other MSMC students completing their fieldwork on site. Some of that may be done virtually. Food services, another tough change. Meals will be eaten in the classroom with no sharing or heating up of lunches. This includes our staff and our students. In stage 1, we will not have any hot lunch available for purchase. All programs outside of the school day, including extension and extracurricular activities, are suspended during phase 1. While fresh air and outside activity are strongly encouraged, our playground, the equipment outside on the playground, needs to be closed during stage 1, but we will get outside hopefully every day. All school events, including our open house and parent-teacher conferences, will be virtual until further notice. And MSMC has purchased green BDMS parking passes to help facilitate smooth entrance and exit onto campus. They are stopping visitors to campus without parking passes, so we have them ordered and they will be in before the first day of school. If there is a positive case of COVID-19, all families will be informed with no identifying information as to the student or the staff member. With all of the guidelines followed, one positive case does not mean shutting down the entire school. We are taking each case seriously, and it will be a case-by-case decision about what sections of the school are closed or at a point when the school needed to be closed as a whole. You will be informed daily if there is any information that needs to be given out to you. There are no firm indicators when we will be moving into stage 2. And I know that's difficult, but we're really looking at stage 1 with these tight restrictions to make sure we're safe. But we will continue to work with the MSMC pandemic response team and the Archdiocese to ensure a safe environment for students and staff. As always, we will stay in touch through email blasts, iris alerts, and our website. And now Mrs. Perk is going to share our website and give you a presentation. While she is doing that, please feel free to add any questions to the chat area.
Thank you, Mrs. Benfer. Hello, I'm very excited to show up our new website, but first, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Dean DeMarzo, who is the Assistant Vice President of Marketing and Communications at Mount St. Mary College, and his team for the design and creation of the new website. When I am here to give you an overview of the site and its navigation, which is very user-friendly. So let's start with the home page. Woohoo, here it is. We're going to slide down. We will be putting new images up shortly. If you don't see this homepage on your device, please do not worry. It is in the process of updating. Going forward, changes will happen immediately, though. Thank you for your patience with that. Here we have some of our virtual graduations from the end of the year, and if you want to see some of them, you can just scroll through this video media gallery and just select the play button on anything you want to watch. Here is our school contact information. Now, one of the best things about this site is that it works really well on different devices like smartphones, tablets, laptops, even desktops, no matter what size you have. And the Staying Connected has information for you like our calendar and the Educate Parent Portal, which we know all parents want to keep track of their students' progress. And at the bottom, you see the Mount St. Mary College footer. Now, as a subsite of the Mount's website, we're included in their footer right here, which is actually a great marketing tool for us, but we're also working on a Bishop Dunn pre-footer with more information relevant to Bishop Dunn. But also right over here, if you can see, we have a Title IX link, and Matt Byrne from the Mount is our Title IX coordinator. So another great feature being part of Mount St. Mary College's website is that you can select the Mounts and actually search through our site. And if you type in something because you're not sure, like principal, it will actually, Nancy's first, it comes right up to Mrs. Benfer's page. And if you search for something like music, because you wanted some information, you will actually see more things about the Mount, but if you keep scrolling down, you would find information about our music program. So that is pretty nice. We would like to have the search feature right on our page, but it may just be a limitation that we can't have, but it is at least there at the Mount's page. So let's take a look at our navigation. So this top navigation up here, this is actually our secondary navigation. And what that means is here you find links to single pages. So here is our reopening plan, so front and center, and it brings you to the entire information booklet on the reopening. This second link is actually for staff only for information. As Mrs. Benfer said, we have to complete a screening questionnaire daily to get onto site. And then we have our virtual learning showcase from last year there. So the primary navigation or the main navigation is right here. And you can see it's very user-friendly, a little different than what you're used to. But let's take a look at some of it. So the drop down comes right up when you hover over the navigation. So if we go to About Us and you want some contact information, you will see a nice table with all the very important people from our front office, everybody that helps the school run, and their email addresses. Nice thing about this is if you do click the email address, it will open in a new tab so you can write an email right from there. The other thing is kind of old school that you may have noticed, these little breadcrumbs up here. So you always know where you came from. So you know that to get to the contact information page, you came from the About Us page. So I'm going to go back up to this navigation. I'm going to go to the faculty and staff directory, which is still under design right now, but here you will find everybody in the school, all the teachers, all the special teachers, everybody that you might need to locate. But again, if you don't remember, that search bar is really going to help you. And there's just other things about our school here in the About Us section. Let's take a look at the departments. In the departments, if you go to the admissions page, you will see that if you know someone who wants to join Bishop Dunn, they can click here and apply right online. And Mrs. Bro is our coordinator of technology as well as our admissions. So you will see her contact information. Under departments, you will also see the principal's office page and information about Mrs. Benfer. So the departments pretty much looks the same as it did on the other site, or the old site, if you will. Families is something new, and I actually really like this section because in this section you really can find everything you need to help you have a successful school year. So let's take a look at the calendar. The calendar still is an embedded feature, Google Calendar, and we already have the first days of schools listed there, but there's also that printable PDF in case you like that yearly calendar printed and hung up somewhere in the kitchen on the corkboard, on the cabinet to keep you organized. We will always have that there for you to print as well. And then if you go to Student Life, in fact, if you click on Student Life, you see this menu here as well. And I love this video that Eliza put together for us at the, I guess, March or April of last year to let our students know how much we missed them and we cared about them, couldn't wait to see them again. But you can find all the information you need about Student Life either by hovering over Student Life or coming right to that menu. So let's go ahead and take a look at an elementary school page. Under the elementary school page, let's take a look at pre-kindergarten. Again, you'll notice my little breadcrumbs up there. Helps you to know where you came from. There's Mrs. D'Angelo and Mrs. McLaughlin. There's a little bit about the teaching philosophy. And what's really cute is this is a virtual tour for parents to see what the pre-K looked like last year. So these things will be updated as we get back to school for the coming year. But what's great about this is everything you need to know is down here in what they call an accordion. And in this accordion component of the web page, you can just click open and learn about the pre-K curriculum. You can click open and see a sample schedule. This was last year's schedule, and it opens to a new page and it shows you the schedule. And then you can come right back and see all you need to see about pre-K, including the writing rubric, which I think is pretty amazing. But let's go ahead and go to the elementary school, and let's take a look at kindergarten. And here you'll see Mrs. Middlemiss and her email address, and Mrs. McLaughlin again. And we're lucky because we get to share her in pre-K and K. And then you'll see her open house information from 2019 to 2020. And again, she will update that, and all of her information about her curriculum overview. I'm just pressing the plus and minus, the rules and policies, everything you could want to know about kindergarten is there. And that's how all the pages work. But let's go ahead and go down to look at a middle school page. So if you look at middle school math, you will see Mrs. Purdy and all her information, all her curriculum overviews, helpful website links, anything you need to see. We can take a look also at middle school ELA, and here you'll see Miss Killalay and all her information. Interesting that the homework links you right out to the parent portal, so that is great for the students too. Sometimes middle school students really like to access that portal on their own to keep themselves on track. So I like to show the specials pages too, because here, even though Innovation Lab is like STEAM and big, and it's really, they're all really much more than a special to us. They're very important parts about school. In the Innovation Lab, you can see the students podcasting in this media gallery, and you can also keep going and you'll see them with Dash the Robot, at the first graders with Dash the Robot. So I really like to show that page. Now our sports and our Some Fun page are here for you. They really are here for information purposes only, because sports and Some Fun are suspended until further guidance from the CDC. But we wanted them to be here and be ready for as soon as we are able to resume those activities. And one other thing that I love that's here is the student handbook. In the student handbook, it also opens you to a new tab, and you will see all the information you need to about the rules and regulations of the school. And just remember, at the bottom of that page, I want to say 50 something, there is, okay, about 50, there is a few pages that need to be submitted back to school. So please make sure you take a look at that, and your children take a look at that, and you sign and return those to school. So I actually would like to take the time to thank you for being here today. And if you have any questions or suggestions about our new website, please reach out to me at my email address, donna.perk@bdms.org. You can find my email address on the slide in the presentation, as well as on the About Us faculty and staff link, which I'll just show you again, About Us, faculty and staff, and then you will find me and my email address. So I just wanted to show that to you again, and thank you again. I will now turn the meeting back over to Mrs. Benfer for questions and answers on the reopening stage 1. Let me come back to the virtual meeting and just present to you, I'll come back to that slide, our credits, because we did use the presentation template from Slides Carnival, and we're showing good digital citizenship to our students by modeling that you have to give credit to the source where you get information from. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Perk, for that wonderful presentation. Remember, everyone on this call, we are all a part of this reopening plan, and it is imperative that we all follow the guidelines, even on the weekends, even when we are away from school. It is the one way when we can assure keeping our students safe. Now let me check the questions, and remember, if I don't get to your question, you can email me at any time. All right, so we have a question about specials. Specials will be done within the cohort. That means that building-wide, we will have PE on Tuesdays and Thursdays during stage 1. The specials teachers will be divided up between the cohorts. They will go into the classrooms. Students will not move. Students will not go to other classrooms. And those cohort teachers will run PE, art, innovation, technology. All of those things will be done right in the classroom to limit any exposure. I had a question about what if a child refused to wear a mask. So we have a lot of educational pieces that we are working with the students to encourage. I mean, the social pressures of everyone else wearing a mask will help. But if a child absolutely refuses to wear a mask, they would need to be removed from the classroom. Of course, as always, I do it very kindly, but they would be removed and a parent would be called. But I really believe with everyone else doing it, I think it's part of our social norm right now. So it's a really good idea to practice wearing masks with your children. So even if you're not doing that right now, it's super important that you practice that. Let's see, they'll only be coming out of the classroom to either go outside for breaks, so they'll go outside for breaks, or they will be using the bathrooms. You will not believe the amount of work I had to do in the bathrooms. We had to separate stalls, we had to cover sinks, we had to limit the number of people in the bathroom at a time. I had to buy locks for the water fountains, so the water fountain part of the fountains will not be, you will not be able to use that. We can still use name labeled water bottles with the sensor, the touch-free sensors, but they will not be out in the hallway. Again, it's definitely going to look very, very different. I totally understand the concern with the MSMC students. There are, at this time, 6 which had to go through extensive screening at the college to be allowed even to do this. It is helping us with dividing up in cohorts. They will also only be with the cohorts. They are mandated to do the daily screenings and the temperature scans. And in our daily screening, if a staff or faculty member has been exposed to anyone or has any of those symptoms, they are not allowed to come into the building. And believe me, the MSMC students, if there's any indication, they're coming back to school a little bit earlier than us, but if there's any indication of anyone being sick or not following the guidelines, I will know about it, and they will not be admitted back in the building, and they will have to redo their student teaching placement. So there's that edge of, they need this to graduate and they need to do it correctly. And so that's what we have in place for that. The pre-K drop-off. So the pre-K drop-off is, and kindergarten first at that back door, is literally going right into the kindergarten classroom. So you will be able to pull up, get out of your car, and walk a child to the back door. We have, I've put more staff at that entrance just because we know that it may be a little bit tricky as far as the first few weeks of drop off, but we will do whatever we can to make sure that they feel comfortable coming into the school. Bathroom breaks, we have a hall monitor to cover bathroom breaks to watch. They will be either the younger grades will be taken as an entire class. We will have labels on the floor where they will stand in line to being socially distanced, and we'll make sure that that's kept safe. We have, someone asked me privately about virtual learning. This is actually one of the components that we started to put in place back in the end of April. And now Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Perk, and I have gone to each classroom, set up the laptop that will live stream or record lessons. So students will be on a block schedule where your classroom teacher will let you know the times. So if you have chosen virtual learning, you will be able to do it very easily, and the kids will feel a little bit more part of the class than they did in the past. I really set this up and really talked to the college and the pandemic response team. I set this up early on because if you are required to quarantine, you have to realize that if you get a call and you and your family have been exposed to COVID and you have to quarantine for 14 days, I didn't want students to lose 14 days of academics. So this will make it very easy. They will log on right through their Google Classroom. It is the Google Classroom link. It will be live only during the day, only during school hours. We work on digital citizenship with the students so they understand, but you will be able to log on and see what is going on in the classroom. So during lunch recess, you wouldn't be logged on, but during classroom lessons, you would be logged on. Yes, the students are required and the staff to wear masks all day. There will be periodic mask breaks. We also are including the social distancing because this allows us to have, to be able to keep everyone safe, even if someone is sick with anything, okay? We have a question about washing hands with soap and water. So that is something that is very important to us. I've been starting to work with the younger grades as far as scheduling how that is going to look. It's going to take a long time as far as social distancing and number of students in the building and bathrooms, but we are putting that in place, along with the fact that we always have had the no-touch Purell alcohol dispensers in our classrooms that students can clean their hands and be good to go. All right, so this is a great question about if someone in the school goes on vacation, will they be allowed to come back to school, or do they go digital permanently? If you go to a state that is on the ban list as far as you needing to 14-day quarantine, I am asking you, I'm telling you that you have to quarantine from home for those 14 days as required by the governor, and you will be able to then go online and do your class. So this is very important that you will know that that is a requirement for the school. And let me tell you, quite frankly, your friends will tell on you, and your friends will be angry with you, the adults on this call. You will be, this is, our new norm, and you really need to follow the guidelines, along with the fact that you could get a fine. And certainly none of us on this call want to bring in the virus or any illnesses into the school. We are working on getting our devices to be one-to-one, where I'm starting with middle school and working my way down. So someone asked about middle school students bringing in their own laptops. We cannot do that as of yet because of our filter system. We filter what the students are allowed to do. But Joanne, that may change, but as of right now, we are working to have laptops, especially for middle school, and the younger students. We have definitely put that order in to go. Okay, so once third grade comes through the main door, okay, they come in, they do the sanitizing on their hands, they scan, and then they go straight to the classroom. There are 2 staff members at the front door, 2 in kindergarten, 2 at the back door, and then I will be doing buses when and if all the buses are back in play. So we want to make sure that they're reminded, they get into a routine, and once they get into that routine, I believe that they will do that very well. You know, they're very well, they listen very well as far as if we have new routines in place. Okay, so Beth, you asked about if we have to go virtual. We are working on that one-to-one device. They're back ordered. I have to be honest. This order process started back in a little bit after we went out in April. So just know that we will be trying to get one-to-one devices because it's very important, and our virtual learning will be in real time. If the student is sick and they miss a post, many of the teachers in the upper grades are posting their lessons. All right, third grade.
Just a reminder that is really that the technology is so back-ordered. We're looking at November at this point.
That for the one-to-one, yeah, it's back-ordered, yeah, definitely. But we do have individual laptops right now, and like I said, we're starting with middle school and working our way down. All right, so Stacy, we will, in the morning, we're asking for the students to actually stop at each door if they are in different cohorts. But in the afternoon, we have it mapped out that they will be socially distanced, and it will be such a short time that they actually leave through that same door that we are going to exit with your youngest child's location of exit. So siblings will be dismissed together, but they will not be all standing together in a bunch. Our buses will not be lining up like we used to in the gym. That is something that we will not be doing. You know, we'll keep everyone home. All right, our hybrid options. I was required by the state to submit a plan for fully in school, because we have the space once we move the rooms around, fully digital, so you could learn remotely, and a hybrid case was also was one of the things I had to submit. Because we have most students that are choosing either fully in class and fully online, or fully online, if there's some, you know, if you need to discuss a hybrid case with me, just email me directly, because I have had that conversation. Let's see, Teresa. Yes, if a student stays home or is sick for any reason, doesn't have to be COVID, obviously, if they're feeling well enough to get online, they should absolutely get online. That is the beauty of us having this real time. It is not the way it was in April and May. It's not the way it was at the end of the year. We have literally gone classroom to classroom and set up the ability to record. The Mount has upgraded is in the process, of upgrading our infrastructure with our streaming capability, so that's being improved, and we are just very excited to get that up and running. Second graders are going in the main door. Let's see. We're still, oh, thank you, Jeannie. We are still working on getting students devices if need be. You can email me directly if you have, if you're having an issue with that. Yeah, at risk an at-risk student can absolutely go virtual. And even if you come the first day of school and you're like, wow, this is just we know that Bishop Dunn and all the staff has done everything they can. If they are, really, if you're really nervous or you're not comfortable, you can always go through your Google Classroom and be able to, just make that happen. We'll be able to do that at any time. Oh, okay. So Beth, if a bus student doesn't pass the daily temperature screening, we were actually required to build out and have a separate space called if you looked in the booklet, called the guardian angel room. That is not the nurse's office. If it is a nice day and we can get the parent here immediately, obviously the student and a staff member, socially distanced, could be outside. But if it's not, we have a guardian angel room, which will only be used if a student does not pass the daily temperature screening, if they come off the bus, or if they are exhibiting signs. I do not want to commingle, someone going down to the nurse's office for something else with students who are possibly sick with COVID. So let's see. So the class sizes, we do have some new students, but we did cap class sizes. It depends on the size of the room. So some classes are actually split with the teachers moving between classes. Some are whole in the classroom. Some have actually been moved to new locations. So our art room is now a classroom. Our library is now a classroom. Our gymnasium may end up with all the digital stuff in there, may end up being a classroom. So, really, I just want to make sure that everyone realizes that we are following the 6-foot rule and doing all of that. Okay, so there was a question about lockdown, lockout, and fire drills. We had to submit to the Archdiocese, to the Mount, and to the state our individual plans for those procedures. So practice lockdown, practice lockout, practice fire drills have to be socially distanced. Practice, okay? So anything in practice, we have a new plan for them to be socially distanced and where they will be in the classroom and how we do those procedures. I think it's a great idea to upload the pictures of the classroom. I'm gonna actually do that. You asked for pre-K and K. I'm going to actually do that for everyone. We'll get some pictures of the setups, and it looks so different. I mean, those of you that have been here a long time, this is temporary, God willing. So please know that all of this hard work, when we get the green light to actually go back to a little bit more of our normal classrooms, we will be ready to go to move everything back. There are definitely, they look very, very different right now. Yes, students can have their own hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer is used for, we have them in the classroom, they can have their own. Everything really for them has to be individual. So an individual, tissue pack at their desk, their own pencils and pens, everything like that needs to be individual. So the students during stage 1 will be at their desks and they'll have all of their own supplies, including if you send in a hand sanitizer, right at their desk. Okay, so pickup. As of right now, you are going to go to your youngest child's pickup area. So pre-K, K1, or if they have an older sibling, will be picked up the kindergarten door. And we will have 2nd through 5th out the library door, and we will have the middle school, the middle school and 5th grade out the back door. That's as of right now. We will put that in writing for everyone and make sure that, you know, just so we have that clear for everyone. Okay, so Debbie, great question. Actually, Mrs. Cactus, as of right now, will continue to be our nurse, and we will post the guidelines for all of that. So we're not, like, if a student has a fever and comes up with a, you know, it comes up with a positive for strep throat, we will definitely post when when they're allowed to return to school, and we have to stick to that. So they'd have to have a doctor's note and the return to school time. The CDC has changed those guidelines just slightly, so I don't want to commit to the exact time now, but we will be very strict about, you know, we will definitely be very strict about the return to schools. Okay, so yes. Okay, so someone asked about if it is, if we do go, if the statewide cases rise above 9%, that is what the governor is saying as of now, we will need to go virtual. The classes at this point will still be run the same way. There'll be some asynchronous classes, there will be some live classes, and there will also be assignments posted on Google Classroom. I mean, we're working towards having as much live time as possible. Okay. Okay, Lacey, let me see. So we have a student who's suspected of a COVID case. They went home. They actually have to quarantine for the 2 weeks, yes, and both. Okay, great question. So in the guidelines that the Archdiocese sent out, it is the quarantine time and negative tests. They have to be cleared to come back to school. And the same thing, if a student doesn't have symptoms, but has been exposed to someone for COVID, they are required to stay home, and that's the law. That's not my rule, that's the law, to be able to quarantine for the 14 days. I will give you an example. We had a staff member a little over a week ago who got a call during the day and was told that they had been, you know, possibly exposed to COVID. Immediately, that staff member was sent out to be tested. The area where that staff worked was quarantined off, and then it was reported to the Mount, to the health services, about the situation and the timeline. It was also reported to the Archdiocese, and that space where that employee worked was then disinfected. We were not required, the rest of the staff, the 4 other people who were here, because we have masks on and have been using the social distancing rules, were not required to quarantine because the staff member wasn't tested positive. So we were able to continue with our social distancing, continue with our mask wearing, continue to come to work, and the employee did 2 things. Got a negative COVID test, but also finished the 14 days from their exposure, okay? So that both of those things had to happen before that staff member was allowed to return to work. The rules about the 14-day quarantine and a negative COVID test. Okay, so the cohorts, I will post them. So I will definitely make sure that you have them. Specials for virtual learners. Oh my goodness, somebody stumped me. Yes, they will. They will have their Google Classroom, but the specials may not be live. I haven't worked out that schedule yet, but there will definitely be Google Classrooms with the specials, you know, for students on that classroom. All right, so the hand sanitizers, we have, okay, parents who send their own sanitizers will be required to check the ingredients, obviously, themselves, but believe me, Mrs. Middlemiss was on it with the ingredients, with, you know, with the hand sanitizers, and that is something that we are checking. Right now, our hand sanitizers are not being made locally. They are our hand sanitizers, the Purell that has been in place. So that is what we'll be doing. But we will keep our eye on that. And if anyone has an allergy, a specific allergy, I would need to know that ahead of time, and the parent would be required to send in something that would work for the student. Students will be allowed to wear their gym uniforms 2 times a week on Tuesday and Thursdays, and that is school-wide. And I'll put up pictures of everything, the things that we are doing in place, and I will show the number of students per room, absolutely, with the setup in the classrooms. And let's see. Okay, so the specific behind mask breaks, and I realize I'm going a little over schedule. Mrs. Perk, don't yell at me, but these are great questions. The mask breaks is when students, teachers would be allowed to be socially distanced, pull their mask down, get a little breather, go outside, pull their masks, stay 6 feet apart. We've been here all summer working with our masks on, and it's tricky. So we are just making sure that the students and the staff are safe, but also comfortable. And great question about windows, Connie. Actually, I am required to come in every morning and open every single window. There are windows that when I walk through with the superintendent, we found that I don't believe have ever been open. Every window in every place needs to be opened every day. And they will be opened every single morning to make sure we have the proper ventilation in place. With that being said, if stage 1 goes into November, December, make sure, we'll still have the heat on, but make sure you are sending your child with the extra BDMS sweatshirt or anything that is, so just so they're comfortable in the classroom. And so I will respond to that. I'm going to set up a time post it on the website, Mrs. Burke. We'll take pictures of each classroom maybe and set up the number of classrooms per student. Everything will be online as far as the textbooks, the pickup, supply schedules, Google codes. If you haven't already done so, you could also reach out to Mrs. Bro. She has been helping families get online. Those of you that are going to be working from home, or those of you that want to drop off supplies and also pick up, because our yearbooks have finally come in, so we're excited about that. The entire schedule is based right now of students being in 5 days every week. So if you have picked the on-site learning, you will be on-site 5 days a week unless I have worked out a different schedule with you, and that you would need to be touching base with me about that. Oh, the cohorts. So the cohorts have been set up in middle school for every single class to be one group of like 8th grade, one group 8A, and so forth. I do not know if we didn't have to take Regents last year. I do not know if the students will have to or will be allowed to, do Regents, but I will let everyone know. I mean, that information comes out from the state. It came out a little late last year, but we will get the updates on that. Virtual work can be either way. You can type it, you can handwrite it and scan it. That would be at the discretion of the teacher, and they work very closely with you. There will be outside classes. A number of the teachers have talked about moving outside to the classrooms and using their classes outside, socially distanced. Oh, I think you should put the virtual students in their uniform. I think that would look very nice, and it would just kind of separate the day of just being at home and kind of just being on online learning to them actually feeling like they're part of the class. And then of course on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they would be allowed to do that. Let's see, we are not, it was based on the recommendations of the pandemic response team and the Archdiocese. Students and staff are not required to have a COVID test prior to the first day of school. We have a question here about the uniform masks. So they need the masks. The only restriction, first of all, they have to be a mask that would be something that would protect all the students. But secondly, they can't wear something, which I'm sure none of you would do, with an objectionable picture on it or something that would, upset other students. I had one student very early on email me and ask if it had to match their uniform, but that is not a requirement. Church, we will not, okay, so we will not be going to church until further notice. Sister Lucy has been working with Father Greg on setting up him coming in and maybe doing some talks within the classroom. We also have the ability to go to church virtually. Father Greg is, he is setting up virtual masses, so that would be something that we were doing. But as an entire school, we are not able to go up to mass. I don't want to, I want to make sure that we don't expose students to anything. Yes, we will be using the pavilion, so that'll be checked out by the teachers, whether it be for a lesson or lunch, but they still need to be socially distanced, and they still need to have their masks on. If the students have a face shield, they do still need to wear a mask. So that is something that is, and that includes for teachers as well. Again, by our pandemic response team, we are not allowed to just wear shields without the masks on. It's not as good of a protection. And this is a great question. I hadn't really thought about this. Will there be a separate supply list for middle school students who are only virtual? Let me think about that. We have, obviously some of the supplies you may already have at home, or you may not need some if you're planning on being virtual all year, but you will need notebooks and things like that. So let me take a look at that list and I can get back to you if you emailed me that question. Okay, if I missed anything, I will certainly take any emails from everyone. I know it's a little scary, but really we have worked so hard to get this together and really just create a safe environment for the students. I'm of course going to be able to keep you updated as far as all that, any changes through our communication. Virtual students should definitely contact the transportation department, and even on site, you should really be in touch with your transportation department, because we have not, and we have some time, but we have not heard any definitive information about transportation. So, okay, everyone, well, I thank you for everyone who wrote your nice comments. I'm actually very much feeling the love right now, and we're going to stop the recording and say thank you, and goodbye to